I'm a boss chick, yeah, I'm a boss lady. I be calling shots, I be getting money. I'm a boss chick, yeah, I'm a boss lady. I be calling shots, I be getting money.
Hey, welcome to I Look Good Naked podcast with Terry Javon
and Cass Seegers Beatles. Hello.
And today we are joined by a really good friend of mine whom I'm very appreciative of her taking the time out of her very busy schedule. She is in New Orleans filming her show. We have Niecy Nash.
Okay, first of all, can I just say that I almost wore my Phenomenal Woman t-shirt, Terry.
Did you? Because we're the same.
And no, and second, I freaking love you. And the last time I saw you, I didn't really get to gush over you like I wanted to. And third of all, it's so funny that the name of your podcast, because yesterday was the first time I think in a long time that I felt like I like what I was given naked. I'm like, I can work with this. This is doable. Hello.
Yeah. But Niecy, can I say?
It goes.
Well, yeah. Okay, I'll say that because you always give off such confidence and never ashamed of showing your voluptuousness. That's one of the things I've always just really loved about you. It's just that you are you, and hey, y'all like it? I love it. If y'all like it, cool. If y'all don't, I still love it. Like, that's your energy, and I just love that. You're such an inspiration. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So we start off our podcast with a quote from Cass. So Cass, what is your quote of the day, darling?
My quote for the day is by Andy Warhol, who I love. He's different. He's crazy, and I loved his hair, and he was a rebel. His quote is, the idea is not to live forever. It is to create something that will. And I love the quote. Just as artists, I think that's what we do. You know, we want to create a legacy. We want to pour everything we have so that generations and generations and generations after will be affected by it. And I think when you go into your art or your passion with that idea in mind, you can't help but just want to be excellent. And that's just what I love about it.
That is true. And we do that through our artistry, but we also do it through our relationships with people, our relationship with our children. It's like we leave them with something to carry on and out into the world after, we've gone away.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if we've lived life right, that is what has happened.
Live life right. I think, yes, whatever you have left should live forever in a good way.
And even if you live life wrong, it can live on forever too, because you can leave some baggage and some stuff that's not so good that people are carrying with them, but that's not good.
Nope, that's not good. I don't think that's what he meant.
One of the things that I feel like I am the most proud of is to leave loving human beings behind in the children that I have, and who are compassionate, who would stop to help, who would give you their last. That is so freaking important to me. I remember my youngest, when she was in the 4th grade, they were giving out the school awards at the program. So they say, and so we are all sitting in the back, and the student who's mastered mathematics, Johnny Chang, he come running down, Susan so-and-so won for English, and this one won for that, and reading, and my baby kept looking back, and we were like, hang in there, and it got down to the last thing, and my baby, you just see her little shoulders that slumped down. Aww. And they said, and the student who is the most kind, Niecy Nash. Baby, we jumped up, and my mama telling the parents next to us, they don't teach kind in school. They don't teach that. She got that right here. And we were so proud of her. Hey, you ain't gonna win a scholastic, nothing, but you can.
Yeah. And that kindness will take you a long way.
That kindness will take you a long way. The kindness is what you leave behind.
Yeah.
The kindness definitely affects generations and generations. And when you don't have kindness, it affects generations and generations.
And let me tell you what about leaving something behind. I did not realize when I stepped into Desna Sims's stilettos on Claws,
who I love. Oh my God.
It was a different mark of my other work. Because she is a woman on the south side of 40, because she is thicker than a snicker, because she doesn't have children, because she's not married, because she is unapologetic, and you see her not sexualized but sexy and owning her own power in her own body. Like it's a whole nother something that I didn't see coming. Speaking of leave behind.
Hey, speaking of that, what brought to mind when you were saying that was actually Beyonce, because I feel like she does that. I feel like she just empowers all her sexualness and she gives it to you because she wants to, not because somebody is making this creation of her, or and so that your character really makes me feel like Beyonce. Same thing that Beyonce does, just like owning it. I'm giving it because I want to. I can hold back if I want to. Just kind of making her own rules and owning her sexiness.
Right.
You don't especially get to see a lot of Black women with extra parts. In prime time, television.
That's right.
Not unless you ordering something that come on those low cable channels late at night. You know what I mean? I'm talking.
I don't know anything about any of that.
But if you cut the TV on and you are scrolling through, to be able to see that particular woman represented on television is just it's interesting, and I didn't realize that it was necessary.
It's necessary and it's powerful and it's impactful. That's why I've always been an advocate for, or more inclined to be on a television series as opposed to being a film star. Because on television, you are actually in the homes with people every day. It's like you're in their house with them. There's a different kind of connection when people are connecting with you in an atmosphere where they are at home and at peace, and they're choosing to turn in and bring you into their home with them weekly. So what you are doing is you have awakened something in women that can relate to the voluptuous woman, and not being afraid of being sexy and not trying to hide and be and feeling like you have to be a certain size to be considered beautiful and sexy. And so you are making some history, Niecy Nash, and I love that. And a Black woman on top of that. Just
in the whole show, all of the characters on the show are to me history making. I love the diversity of the characters. I love all the different levels of women that they portray. I mean, I just think the show is phenomenal, and it says a lot about empowering women. And we see women that should be in a place that you would think on the surface they don't look empowered, but they own it and they turn every situation around so that they have the power. And I think that in itself says something. Like, it's not where you're from. It's not about your past. It's not about what you've been through. It's about how you take all of that muck and mire and turn it into something that works for you. And I think that I was
telling somebody that one of the things that I like too is the fact that on Claws, regardless of whatever these women have been through in their past, there is a sisterhood and a connective
absolutely
between them that I enjoy. And okay, so I'm about to say something, but if people haven't seen it, they got to catch up. But in the season finale, when I had the opportunity to live my dream and get the shop of my dream, I opted to say, in order to make right the wrong that I did to one of my friends, I got to go back to my old salon. But I did not want to, I was going to go back, but I still wanted them to win. I still wanted my friends to get the blessing and get the dream. And I handed one of them the keys and I say, Mama, you take it. You go, run with it, live your best life. She hands them to the next girl. No, I'm not doing it. She hands them to the next girl. No, I'm not doing it. And we all collectively came back together. And I just think that it says something in a day and age when you're so used to seeing women fighting and pulling wigs and tossing tables and doing all of this that says, wait a minute, take a beat. Everybody don't move like that.
Right.
Every relationship with a woman is not going. See, that's why I don't trust women. Why? Because you was watching some TV show where they was all slapping each other around and talking crazy.
Right.
So I just like that even though we're a scripted television show, we are still telling a story about sisterhood and women who are bonded together and love each other. They're not perfect at all, but they are committed to each other. And that's a different thing.
Yeah, and we need to see more of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking about that sisterhood and, you know, the blessing of being able to see that on television now with you guys, Niecy Nash, that is pretty much how you roll. You are a sister, friend, girlfriend through and through. Since I've known you, you have been exactly that. And I told you one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we brought up on this podcast is to talk about how you have unwavered from being true to who you are. And you do that in your work, which is why I think you have continually worked. Since before we became friends and I knew who you were working and you've never stopped working. And I think that is a testimony because of how true you are to yourself, and you are true to your friends, to your just in your life. You have never changed. You've always been this Niecy that is bold and loud at times, but so just loving, like Mama Bear. And you've just always been like that. And I think that people should take note on not trying to fit in to the box or not trying to fit in to what you think people want, or how to get the role is to fit into this. Let me act like this, or let me act like this in front of this person. You are the same in front of everybody. In front of everybody, you are the same.
These are facts. But you know what I've also settled on, though, honestly. I know some beautiful women, and I if you called me and you said, hey, my niece, my this, my that, or whatever is in town, and can you pick them up from the airport? Whatever you ask me to do, I am absolutely going to show up for you, and I'm absolutely going to show up for that person, and I'm gonna love on you, and I'm gonna make you know that you're special, and all of those wonderful things. And you try to do that. I try to do that every day. But the one thing that I will tell you is that even in spite of that, not everybody is gonna like you. When I tell you I'm so okay with that, I am so okay with that. Because I know that I just try to move from a very pure place. And for me, it's really gratitude. When I look at how kind God has been, it is difficult for you to show up in a situation and have an attitude or treat somebody poorly, or, you know, think you would, you know, shake your neck around, or whatever the case may be. I just don't even know how you do that. And it's funny because I had a girl call me and say, she called me and said, look, sis, I was telling, she had the whole thing up. I was telling my manager that I want to do what you do, in that, like, you are on multiple networks at the same time. Like, I peeped game. You was on HBO.
Oh my God. Niecy, you sound like somebody I know. Just keep talking.
You was on the show with Cedric, and you popped up on Mindy Mindy Kaling on her show. So I'm like, she could be on multiple networks. I could be on multiple networks too. So if you don't mind, I just want you to tell me what I need to do so they can fix my contract to make it like, so I can do what you do, sis. I said, oh. I said, okay. I said, well, you ready? And she was like, yeah, I got my piece of paper. I'm ready. And I said, write this down. And she said, mm-hmm. And I said, give. And she said, well, say what now? and I said, quite honestly, because when you look at it in the natural, you know, networks are greedy. When you sign your name on a piece of paper, they don't want you doing nothing else. They want you. They don't want you to go nowhere else and do other things. I said, but what I will tell you is that the universe responds in kind. I said, I've never been to a job and not gotten somebody else a job, ever. I never believed that that blessing is just for me. So I don't care if you a grip, you a PA, you another actor, you a stand-in, you do stunts. What you know how to do. If I see a space, I'm going to bring somebody and be like, hey, look at her, look at this guy. And so I've always done that. So I said, my job is what I do, but my who is to be of service. The do and the who is not the same. So that when you show up and say, Lord, thank you for this job, now what's the assignment? That's a different thing. So he keeps opening that door, multiple doors, because he knows when I go, I stand available to be used. So the more you give, I used to say it on the show I used to host called Clean House all the time. When your hand is open to give, it's open to receive. So if you become a giver, the universe has no other option but to respond in kind. And you get back good measure, pressed down, shaken together. I've never not been in this business and had at least 3 jobs at one time since I started 20 years ago. What a blessing. And they all overlap and overstack. And that's just the way, I don't know, that's just the way he did it. But I knew enough to know, don't be a selfish heifer. You know, and I said, so if you want what I got, the only way I can tell you to do what I do, because all that stuff you talking about that they worked out on paper is only because I give. Because in the natural, it don't make sense. Right. When I tell you it was crickets on the other end of that phone, and she hit me with, okay. Kind of like, well, if you didn't really want to tell me. Right. Like, no, that's the truth. Right. But what you gonna do?
People don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear it.
No, they want the easy microwave version.
Right. And they want to be you. Again, that goes back to you being true to who you are. It's too many people they're trying to have you. They're trying to have what Niecy has. You can't have what Niecy has because that's what God intended for Niecy. You can't have what Terry has. You can't have what Cass has. And people come up to us all the time. They're like, oh, well, I want to find a partner like you found and you guys produce movies together. And how do you do that? And you're like, there really is no formula. I can't tell you how I do what I do. This was my journey. This was my blessing. This was my destiny. Right. I'm moving in what I was told to do. This is very divine. And I'm moving in it. I can't, there's no formula for that.
Yeah.
So do you?
Yeah. And to piggyback on Niecy's about always looking for the opportunity to give, like getting the opportunity. Okay, so now how? And we've definitely, through Nina Holiday, that's what we've always done. We're always like, okay, now which one of my girlfriends can I call to be in this? You know, I'm always doing that. You know, seeing who we can give the opportunity to be involved in what we're doing. And, you know, it is a blessing. And we have been able to keep going over the years and grow the company through giving. That's right.
And you're directing now? Did I say that?
Yes, Niecy Nash.
All the feels.
Yes.
Give me some of your sprinkle some of your vibes.
Oh, I have something for you, darling. When the timing is right, and it's going to line up. So I'm looking forward to that. But okay, I want to go back to, so now we talked about how you stay true to yourself in the business climate. So in your personal life, in your personal journey, you've also live your life freely, and
out loud,
unwavering and out loud. Yes. So when we used to hang out, we were together a lot through a period of time in our life.
Yeah,
and during that time, we were both kind of struggling in our relationships that we were in.
Yep, we
were.
These are facts.
And we since then have both divorced and remarried. And can you just speak a little bit about how you were just able to, again, stay true to yourself and in a loving way, just meander through that and find love again, and it be all the joyfulness that you're being able to experience now? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I talk a lot about it in great detail in this book that I wrote called "It's Hard to Fight Naked," and literally and figuratively.
Yes.
But the one thing that I was, when I was divorcing, I don't know if you remember. Well, I know you remember that my ex-husband was a pastor at the time.
Yes.
And so when I divorced,
but he wasn't when y'all got married.
He wasn't when we got married,
right?
But he got the calling, became a pastor, and by the time I divorced him 16 years later, I lost my husband, my pastor, and my church just by signing my name to a piece of paper, like that, And what I did though, it was so challenging because, and I also feel like the church puts a lot of pressure on you to stay together. And I was miserable. And I said, but how can I come to church every day, worship the Lord in spirit and in truth, and then go home and live a lie? I was out of order with myself. And when I made that step to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to step away from this situation, I was met with a lot of, you got 3 kids, nobody gonna want to be bothered with you and all of this and carrying on, and you got all this, you got that, and and I had that moment of self-doubt where my bottom lip quivered, and I was like, what? And then I said, you know what, the circumstance that I'm in may change, but the call on my life has not. And I knew that I was called to be a wife. I knew that with everything that was in me. I want to tell you what, I put on the tightest spank I could find. I greased them kids up. They was looking all shiny. Old school Vaseline.
Vaseline.
I said, get in the car. They said, where we going? I said, to find your new daddy. Get in. I said, honey, you ain't gonna get me. I'm going to get the promise. Do you hear me? Y'all ain't gonna hoodwink and bamboozle me out of my best life. Nah.
So
I said, no. And I did the due diligence to, and I always say you attract a measure of what you are. So if all the boys is crazy, when you get up in the morning, you look yourself in the mirror and go, oh, good morning, crazy. Because it's something that is drawing that sort of individual to you. And the stronger and more healthier I became, the better the boys were that showed up. And then finally, I met my husband, and listen, boom, it happened so fast. No waiting, no meandering, no, let me see. It was so quick and so together. And I will never forget the first time I saw him. I met him at a party, and I didn't think nothing of him. And he was so serious and so linear. And I was like, And then my friend said, who is that heifer talking to your new husband? And I looked, and he was laughing and all. He was just a picture of confidence, and he was jovial and fun. And I said, you're right, that is my husband. I said, man, I gotta go get my man back. I said, honey, let me go and snatch him up right quick. I ain't got him, honey, and I ain't never looked back. You hear me? Yeah, that was good times.
Yeah. What I love about that, or what I think that I take from all of that was the time, towards the end of your first marriage, when you knew that it was not right, and you did try to stick it out, and you did, try to be in order. But it just, in your inside, you knew that you knew that you knew it wasn't right. And you, through all of the muck that you had to go through, as far as what people were saying, how people started treating you, how your ex responded to it, through it all, you were never nasty.
Well, you know the reason.
Well,
Terry,
I never saw you be nasty.
Well, let me tell you what I had to hold on to the whole time. I felt like I have to love my kids more than I hate this man. I have to love you more. And even those times when my children came to me, and my son in particular, was like, what did you do to my daddy? And my daddy told me that this was all your fault and that you did something. So what did you do? He was very accused, because, it's easy to blame the other fella. And it's easy to throw them under the bus. But you know what? You learn, let me tell you something, you learn by what you see. My mother never spoke a disparaging word about my father. And you get to the point in where it clicks for you, and you go, oh, this joker is crazy. What? Daddy! When you see it for yourself,
right?
When a light bulb, but my mother never had to say a word.
Yeah.
And that's how I was with my children. I ain't got to say nothing, Pucky. You keep on living. When you get a little older, you'll understand. Maybe there's some point, we can sit down and talk to you about this together. You don't have quite the right information, but I understand you're hurting. Let's try to handle it this way. Because I never wanted to be that bitter ex-wife or bitter baby mama that was like, and recently, and let me tell you, full disclosure, now that they're older, some stuff done slipped out. And with the stuff slipping out, I said something to my middle girl the other day, and she said, you sound better. And I said, Heifer, I am bitter. You know why? I said, because when I think about it, it makes me mad, because your daddy stole my good years. He stole my best years. And that baby never moved. She cocked her little head to the side and she said, well, those really your best years? Because she was like, when you was married to my daddy, you didn't look like that. You didn't have money like you got right now. You didn't live in a house like this. And then she gonna say, and you wasn't walking around like you are with Jay. I love him. She said, so were those really your best years? And I said, girl, those wasn't my best years. You're right. I said, I got to change my narrative. You're right. Yep. These are my best years.
That's right.
Yep. And she was like, okay, so knock it off. And I said, oh, you got me together. You got me together.
Yeah.
I love it.
So
I love that.
We try and push through. That's all we can do.
I love that.
Everything
and the
you're
mantra
saying.
the mantra that I live by is never look like what you're going through. So even on my darkest day, baby, I will put on a lash and a lip and let you have it. You hear me? Don't look like what you're going through. My mama say, don't let them see you sweat.
I love it. I love it. And everything you're saying is rooted in such a loving place. I think that's where it comes from. You have such a loving spirit that it emanates, and it emanates in what you do and what you say, and you're able to stay true, kind of going back to what Terry says, because you love Niecy. You love you. And when you love you, it just shows, and you can't treat people mean and bitter and all of that. And I love that. And I'm so glad that via Terry, we're all here together today.
I know.
We've been trying to get you on one of our projects.
I'm coming to, y'all are in Atlanta, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm coming there. I'm coming there next month.
Okay.
So I'm going to call you. I'm going to text you and tell you when I'm going to be there, and hopefully it'll work out. I'm coming there with some of my cast members from Claws.
Oh, okay.
nice.
These are my Wakanda nails. Can you see that?
Yes,
Oh,
They
I
look
do
very
see them. I love them.
Wakanda.
These are Wakanda Forever nails.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Is that for this week's episode?
No, this is for my life.
Okay.
But Morgan, she's at Mad Nails on Instagram, custom made these for me. So these are custom press-ons.
Oh,
Nice.
wow. Nice.
Nice. I love that.
Thanks.
So Niecy, do you have something lined up next? I know I want to talk about your book a little bit too, but do you have something else that's next for you?
Terry, do you remember years ago?
Oh God.
When you and I
Real talk.
wanted to be in a late night talk
Real
show
talk.
space.
Yes. Well, I still have all that material.
Okay.
I still have all of that. Is that what you're doing?
Well, my plan as of right now, and I haven't said this anywhere, but my plan as of right now is to move into that space.
Yes.
Finally.
Yes.
But to really be focused on the love component of it. Not so much the sensational component of late night talk, but just to I say about it when the people ask me, why did I write a book? And I said, because I wanted to make love easier.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make it easier. And I want to be a part of a conversation to facilitate that. So, though the vision tarries, you wait for it. Because eventually.
Yes.
Yes, well, we thought we had it going on. Honey.
We did, girl. I know. We do have it going on still. Just God is, making it come to fruition the way He wants it to.
Right.
So, but yes, we are awesome chicks. We are awesome chicks.
Also, that's why I said sprinkle it on me, because I really want to move into directing.
Okay.
I mean, I think
I know you will, just because you just said that. Yeah. I know you will.
Yeah, I wanna sit on the other side.
Have you had this discussion with your producers on Claws?
As a matter of fact, I have. Good. And so we'll see what happens there. You know, I can't run around in these tight jumpsuits forever. Mama needs to figure something else out so I can have a beignet or something. The struggle is real, girl. I had on a 2-piece yesterday, and I was like, wait a minute.
And you're in the capital of beignets.
This is not no bright idea. Why did I say yes to this stupid outfit?
That is so funny.
You can't wear no spank. You can't do nothing but let the good times roll. I said,
but you look so amazing. I was telling Terry, I was like, you remind me of like Mae West and Jane Mansfield and these women at, old Hollywood that just embraced who they are. I love it. Every time I see you come across that screen, I just be like, ooh, look at Niecy. And it just makes me want some titties. But then I just be like, oh, where am I?
And you know what's funny about that? First of all, thank you. But the thing that's ironic about that is that when I was a little girl and they would give you a Halloween costume, you know how you step into the little plastic little bag and it has a thing, and then you put the little face with the string that goes across the back. I never wanted to, and every year I would do the same thing. I said, I don't know why my mama did it. I would cry. I don't want to be that. Well, you don't want to be Tweety Bird. Then, well, what do you want to be? And I would go, a lady. So then I would go in my mother's closet, find the smallest thing that she couldn't fit, put that on it. We wore the same size shoes.
Oh my God.
And I would wear her shoes, and I would stumble all the way to school. And all I ever wanted to be was a lady.
And look at you now.
And you are a lady.
Fucking lady.
You are a lady. You are
such a fucking lady. Oh my God.
I love
That's
it.
all I wanted to do. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
The book.
I know. I did. It was something else I was about to ask you. Okay, let me think about it
let me tell you something while you're thinking. I don't know if you will be in LA, but if you are, 7/11, July 11th is when I'm getting my star on the Walk of Fame.
Oh my God!
Yep.
Oh
Don't
my
make me
God!
cry. Don't make. Okay, wait.
Oh, you have to
Don't
go
make me
out
cry.
and
Nash.
sing.
Yeah, you know
Oh,
what's, and you know what's,
congratulations.
thank you. What's crazy? My dad and mom had moved here, or come back here when I was 7. So I was maybe around 8 or 9, and my daddy took me to Hollywood Boulevard to look at all the stars. And I had been wanting to say I was going to be an actress. I realized it at 5. And I saw the most beautiful Black woman I ever seen in my 5 years of living, watching TV with my grandmother. I said, Grandmama, who is that? She said, baby, that's Lola Falana.
Yeah.
And something, I feel like in that moment, God wrote on the canvas of my imagination, my destiny. And I said, I want to be Black and fabulous and on TV. And my grandmama said, well, go on then. and so when my dad took me to Hollywood Boulevard, I was like, this is it. Dreams are made. And I'm looking at all the stars, and I look up and I see a man that I know from TV. I said, Daddy, that man's on TV. He said, that's Ed Asner. So I walk over and I'm like, hey, sir, I know you from TV. And I just want you to know I'm going to be an actress too. My name is Niecy, and my name is going to be right on this ground. And he was like, yeah, kid, scram. And I said, no, I'm serious. Remember my name. And I got a letter from Ed Asner saying with a little star that had my name on it. And it said, of course, I remember your name.
Oh my God.
Bawling. I was bawling my eyes.
How long ago was that, Niecy? How long ago was that?
He sent me the letter before I came here. So like this summer. Like maybe like when they first announced that I was getting it. So I'm in the 2018 class, and my date is 7/11. So I'm gonna invite him. I hope he comes. I will. Because it'll be a full circle moment. But if I look out there and I see him, I'm not gonna be able to hold you.
You're gonna bawl. You're gonna bawl. That's gonna be it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take one of my mama nerve pills just to make it through.
God. I'm out there. I will come out there for that.
7/11.
I am so excited and so proud of you. I know what it was I was going to ask you.
What was you going to ask?
About when you said that that you wanted to announce Sterling if he wins, if he's black.
Oh,
where was it? The Emmys?
No, that was
Golden Globes.
Was it our Critics' Choice? I don't know what it was. But you know what? I got a t-shirt up there that said, "Cause he's black, Niecy Nash." Somebody made it for me and sent it to me.
Girl, when I say that I was on the floor, she was like, if he went, I want to announce him. And she said, why? Because he's black.
Right. I mean, duh. He was the only black one.
My friend is so off. She's so crazy.
The only black one in the category. And the white girl was holding the envelope. I'm like, come on, girl. Okay, but if it's a brother, let me get that.
This is what I mean by you just live out loud and you don't care. And I freaking love that about you. Okay, before we go, tell us about your book and where people can get it.
My book is called It's Hard to Fight Naked. It is fun and it's funny, but it has a lot of real takeaway. And when you read the book, you will know that I wrote every line because you will hear my voice as you're reading it. And it's about people. I feel like we're either in one of three places. We're looking for love, trying to get out of it, or, in a relationship, trying to get out of one, or trying to manage ourselves in the ones that we have. And so it's just a way to make love easier, literally and figuratively. And you can get it on Amazon.
Okay.
You'll see it. It's a picture of me with some red boxing gloves on, and but I'm naked. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of naked, thank you so much, Niecy Nash.
You know how much I love you.
I love you so much. We'll get off the phone. I don't want to gush on our podcast over each other. Then we start crying.
And now I love you.
Yes, you get to.
I got a new love
partner
now.
cast. Yeah. I love when I get to see you. I just do. When I saw you at Wendy's thing, the last time I saw you. Your energy is just infectious, and it's just so genuine, and you're just my girl. I love you.
Well, you know what I thank God for is that, you know, sometimes he gives you intersect a person's life and you get to see them at some of their lowest points.
Yeah.
But then he's kind enough to keep that seat warm and to make a way for you to see them at their best place. Yeah. So I'm grateful to stand in the gap when things were tough. But I'm even happier to celebrate this whole newness with the baby and it is and all of it and the director and you know what, I see you. And the thing of it is that Instagram and social media is a trick because it makes you think you're keeping up with people. You haven't exactly reached out and touched them or had a coffee or whatever. Right. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere but Starbucks right now. But you still feel like, okay, she's good. Okay, everything. Oh, what? Yeah. Oh, that's cute. Like, so I'm grateful for that. Right. And I celebrate you even though I don't see you. Just know that.
And I celebrate you too, my friend. I love you very much. And you can catch Niecy. All your social medias are Niecy Nash, right? On all your social media platforms?
On Instagram, it's Niecy Nash with the number 1. But
with the number 1
Twitter and everything else is just Niecy Nash. Yeah.
All right. Well, we love you. I love you so much.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later. Thank you for joining us on I Look Good Naked podcast.
I look good naked yesterday.
Yes, you did. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, honey. Why do I always tear up? No, why do I always start to cry? And I was doing so good.
Yeah, but you're emotional and you are rooted very much in that loving space and loving place.
So so I'm just like grateful. You know how I am, Cass. I
know you're very grateful and you're very thankful, and then you start to tear up because you're just like, God, it's so good.
I'm just so happy for everybody. I'm happy for us. I love seeing Niecy where she is now.
I didn't know her then.
Always been fabulous, but she's just shining, and I'm so happy for her.
Well, just now when I just saw you guys interacting, you know how we've been talking about doing that Sisters movie and doing a couple other projects. I was like, oh my God, she would be an amazing big sister too. But but we're gonna get this other little project popping that we're not gonna talk about right now, and she's gonna
yes, she is gonna be in that. So I did not do my woman of history.
You did not. I knew. You can, of course, we can end it with that, or we can interject it and edit it because that's the power of editing. But it flowed so naturally.
It did. I didn't want to interrupt.
Right.
So I will give. In honor of the queen that just got off the phone, I will highlight another queen, and this is Queen. Let me get my glasses. Sorry. Don't laugh at me.
I'm not. I like glasses.
Queen Nzinga. She was born 1583 to December 1663. 17th century queen of Mbundu. Okay, 17th century queen of Mbundu people in Angola. Best remembered for her resistance against the Portuguese and setting her people free from slavery. In 1962, she represented her kingdom in a meeting with the Portuguese, in which she had one of her male servants get down on his hands and knees to be her seat in response to the Portuguese governor only bringing one chair in the meeting to make her feel inferior. Bam, drop the mic. Right. Negotiated a short-lived period of peace with Portuguese, fought against the Portuguese in a 3-decade war while growing her kingdom into a commercial state, aligned with the Dutch and personally led troops into battle until finally reaching a peace treaty with the Portuguese. Spent the rest of her reign helping former slaves restructure their lives. And that is Queen Nzinga.
Queen Nzinga. Very good.
Yay. Well,
Warrior Princess.
Enjoyed this podcast very much. You know, I am such a advocate of women just women friendships and bonds.
Yes.
Because of, you know, how Niecy mentioned that, you know, so much of us are represented as fighting, catty, not supportive.
Negative. Yep.
Negative.
Absolutely.
So I love that we have her. I love that I have you in my life, Cass, as a super girlfriend partner.
Being in your life, Terry.
So
as a friend.
Yes.
A sister, a friend.
A sister and a friend, yes.
And Melissa, our wonderful Melissa.
And our wonderful producer, Melissa, who is just phenomenal. And we have a whole tribe of women that support us, and we're very grateful. So again, we want to thank Miss Niecy Nash for joining us. And thank you for tuning in and joining us. We appreciate you all. And thank you for joining us for this episode of I Look Good Naked podcast.
Goodbye.
I'm a boss chick, yeah, I'm a boss lady.
I got my shimmy shirt on.
You do, boo.
I'm a boss chick, yeah, I'm a boss lady. I be calling shots, I be getting money.